Hello and welcome to Leviathan News. Today is November 13th, and I'm Sam, and I'm joined here with Garrett and DeFi Advisor. Hope you guys had a wonderful weekend.
Always yourself.
Up, guys.
Yeah, it was okay. I had a bit of, emotional damage, if you want to call it that. I've jumped back into World of Warcraft probably after about 15 years since I stopped playing it because they added this hardcore mode, and like it's like kind of like Diablo, where if you have a character that dies, they're like dead forever. And I had been playing for like probably a week or two and gotten something my warrior up to 26, and got ganked last night. And then I had found this project over the weekend. A couple of days passed from NFT Interstate, which is a great group to be in on Telegram, that allows you to memorialize your hardcore death by minting it as an NFT. So I'll be able to remember it forever.
They say crypto has no real world applications.
Well, I mean, that's how I got into crypto, was WoW, right? Honestly, it's how I found Bitcoin, or it's how I was like ready for Bitcoin way back.
What do you
when.
mean? How? So how did it actually happen?
How World of Warcraft got me into crypto?
Yeah.
Because at the time, back in like 2007-ish, when I was playing a lot, I was buying a lot of gold through like online, right? Like you just go to some like dodgy site to buy internet gold and you use it in the game. And it just like totally made sense, right? Like I would buy stuff with my credit card that had value. I could use that value online. And I was in the right mind frame, right? So when Bitcoin came along and then I found it in 2011, it just like made sense because I had been in WoW for so long. I didn't even really have to make like a mental shift. It was already like, oh, hey, like I can have this currency of the internet, and there's really no distinction between it being cash and online versus cash that's in like a bank account or anywhere else.
That's a great way to start with crypto, actually.
And I think a lot of people did as well too. I mean, you look at Vitalik, right? Vitalik started ETH because he couldn't take his items out of WoW, right? So I think probably I just don't like, it's hard for me to describe the cultural phenomenon that was WoW at the time. They had something like 15 million people playing at its peak, which I think that's just in the States as well too, like maybe 12 million people inside the States. That's probably like 1% of the population. Pretty much everybody that was playing games at the time was playing WoW.
You're in a good company. I know that Tetranode mentioned in one of his interviews that he got a lot of his like tactical skills from his days playing WoW.
Yeah. So I think like it was really the catalyst for the internet economy that we have today. Just a bunch of gamers like playing with virtual in-game currency, and spawned a lot of the mimetic ideology that we have and use today. It's not too much like, if you can understand like game issued gold, then you can understand crypto. But it's a different world now. Everything is so ubiquitous that you don't really have to make that jump anymore. But it definitely was a 0 to 1 moment. So let's talk about FTX, right? FTX has been out and about working towards recovering billions of dollars that have been that are in the estate, right? And there's a really nice article put out by Decentralized a couple, I believe, over the weekend that talked about the examination of the FTX books. So there's about $81 billion worth of creditor claims, of which are about 65 billion are non-customer claims and 25 billion are customer claims. Notably, the IRS has claimed about $43.5 billion worth of funds from the FTX bankruptcy. But this is assumed to be like subordinated, meaning that it's going to be paid after. So of the 25 billion in customer claims, 10.9 billion are scheduled for consideration by the bankruptcy court, while 16.6 billion are disputed. And for customer claims, 9.2 $2 billion are considered invalid or redundant, leaving about $12.3 billion in claims likely to be considered alongside customer claims. So there's a bunch of other liabilities as well too that's going to change as the bankruptcy court works through this process. If we look at Enron as or even the Mt. Gox bankruptcy case as well too, in all this, it could take probably a decade. It probably is going to take a decade to work through the entire claim. I would assume that most of the creditors are going to take a payout sometime next year or in 2025. The FTX estate has said that they were looking to pay out 90% of the funds that were the funds value that were in the exchange at the time of bankruptcy, and then the rest will go through the courts. So yeah, this is going to be a large-scale bankruptcy. There's going to be a lot of recovery claims that are going through, and one of those that happened just this morning is that the Block, noted crypto media enterprise, has sold a majority stake to Singaporean venture capital firm Foresight Ventures in a deal valuing the crypto outlet at $70 million. And I don't know if you guys remember, but the former CEO of the Block, Mike McCaffrey, who up until today held a majority stake, was ousted last year after it was discovered that he had taken millions and millions of dollars in loans from FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried. McCaffrey helped use those funds to finance a Bahamian property and the buyout of the Block's non-employee shareholders in 2021. So Foresight Ventures has about $400 million in assets, is buying the stake worth roughly $60 million, or about 80% share in the company. And so the majority of this $60 million was used to buy out McCaffrey's stake, with a little bit less than $1 million to fulfill a change of control clause. And this has been an ongoing process that was completed just today, that started last year once McCaffrey left the company. And so the Block will continue to operate as an independent business, with now CEO Larry Cermak at the helm as the second largest shareholder. And so Foresight CEO Forrest Bai will become the chairman of the Block, while partner Tony Chen will take a board seat. That gives Foresight 2 of the 4 board seats. And it's a major change for the Block, which last year just had one person controlling the company and on its board, Mike McCaffrey, and now moving towards a kind of a more diverse set of voices and inputs. So Foresight is helping McCaffrey pay back these loans. I'm sure the FTX bankruptcy case is probably going to be trying to return some of that funds that were given to Mike McCaffrey to help the creditors recover some funds.
So I don't know a whole ton about the Block. I've read some of their articles, but you might know more about the kind of media business behind it. Like, what does this do to the overall state of like crypto journalism?
I don't think it does anything. I mean, the Block's really like set its business model, has a very large base, and they do good reporting. So I don't think it changes much from here. Maybe they're able to get new capital injections to grow a bit more, but I think the market's really going to have to start to shift, and media is down across the board, but should be coming back once the bull market takes off again. So in other FTX, yeah.
How much were they sold for then? Like, how big was the deal with the Block? And for was all the legal rights purchased? I mean, like 100% or
no. So the Mike McCaffrey controlled about 80% of the company. So he sold his stake for about $60 million roughly. And now Foresight Ventures is the controlling partner in that company. We also had some other news this weekend about FTX executives that are launching a new crypto exchange in Dubai. So several former executives of FTX have set up a new venture called Backpack Exchange, which is spearheaded by former FTX lawyer Ken Sun. and is part of Trek Labs, a Dubai-based startup that recently received a license for cryptocurrency services in the region. So Cansun actually testified against Sam Bankman-Fried in his recent trial, and Cansun's other partner at Backpack, Claire Zhang, was also former legal deputy at FTX, and yeah, also by Armani Ferrante, also another FTX employee who's also on that company as well too. So we'll see how this goes. I saw some news about it. They're currently in beta right now, and they're going to launch later this month. And I don't know, maybe we'll get somewhere. Okay, in other exchange news, we have BitThumb, who is planning to IPO sometime in the second half of 2025. Have you guys ever used BitThumb, the South Korean exchange? No? Well, they are reportedly going to IPO. They are South Korea's second largest crypto exchange, and they want to list on the KOSDAQ, which is the South Korean equivalent of the NASDAQ. And so BitThumb hasn't officially confirmed the IPO, but it has recently selected Samsung Securities as the potential underwriter. And so the move comes amidst leadership changes at BitThumb. Lee Jong-hoon, the company's former chairman, has returned as its registered director. However, current CEO Lee Sang-joon was not included in the board of directors, due to an ongoing investigation into allegations of bribery. So apparently this is because of competition with Upbit, which is Korea's largest crypto exchange. BitThumb holds a distant second place by daily trading volume, while Upbit surpassed global leaders like Coinbase and Binance in South Korea in July. So
how big is their volume over there? Does it say the article?
Yeah, I mean, so BitThumb used to be like one of the largest exchanges. I mean, things would like list on BitThumb, and it would have massive market impacts, but they've diminished and lost a lot of market share since. So I'm just checking on CoinGecko right now, and BitThumb. Oh man, they're down a lot actually. So BitThumb is now 85th in terms of exchange volume. They have done in the past 24 hours about $650 million worth of volume.
That's not so bad, actually.
Yeah, but if you look at like Binance is doing like 11 billion. OKX did 2 billion.
Binance is Binance, Binance is global. You're saying that it's something that's more South Korea oriented, right?
Yeah,
local market as well.
Yeah, BitThumb's focused on South Korea, but there's like other. But you look at like Uniswap V3 on Arbitrum is beating, or is almost getting more volume. Or sorry, Uniswap V3 is getting more volume than BitThumb. So I think it definitely needs to have a resurgence if they're going to have a successful IPO.
Did they say how much money they want to raise?
No, they haven't made any statements about the IPO yet.
Yeah, well, exchanges, centralized exchanges are gonna have to become very innovative in order to survive in the next 5 or 10 years, I think, because I don't really see them surviving. Maybe only the very big and strong ones, because I don't know. I think a lot of the stuff is gonna go on chain, as they say.
Well,
yeah,
they could do like the Coinbase approach where they launch their own sidechain, right?
Who knows? Yeah.
All right. Okay, that's enough centralized stuff first for today. Let's hop over to some DEX and DeFi stuff. So it's been a month now, actually, and the Uniswap front end has generated more than $1 million during that time period. Taking a look at the amount of volumes during that time period with this nice little Dune dashboard that we have. Is this the right one? Oh, this is not the right. Yeah, so during that time period, Uniswap has seen substantial volumes run through their front end. And where is that one? Sorry, I'm just looking for the thing. Do you guys use the Uniswap front end fee? Here we go. So cumulative revenue for that time period for the past month is $1,035,000. The majority of it generated from Ethereum trades, Arbitrum in second place, and they've been making on average about like $30,000 a day.
Where does this money go, to Uniswap?
Yeah, no, it goes to Uniswap Labs.
Why? Because they started like a new feature or something like this?
Yeah, we talked about this several weeks back where they're charging a fee on top of their front end that
I think this happened while you were offline.
Yeah, I think this happened. Yeah. So Uniswap, the front end. So if you go to uniswap.org now and you fire off a trade through their website, they now charge you a small fee on top of that. So in addition to the fees that the LPs charge, I believe they charge a 15 basis point fee on top of that. That goes to the Uniswap Labs company. And
it's pretty clever. It's basically a dumb money tax. If you're dumb enough to use the front end instead of an aggregator, then you're probably not getting necessarily the best price execution anyway. So Uniswap is like, well, why don't we just like, if you're fee insensitive, if you don't care and you want to pay a privilege to use our front end, like let's just go ahead and like get our piece too. So it's clearly worked pretty well.
Yeah, I think it's more geared towards. Sure, it's a dumb money tax on the web version, but I know that they're really pushing for their mobile app, and the mobile app is you're kind of like locked in there, so you probably don't even care if you're paying that fee if you're using iOS or whatever telephone.
Look, there's a lot of smart people in this space. There's also a lot of dumb people in the space. It's not a bad thing. It's like we also see the same thing with like MetaMask, where people will use the MetaMask like they so appreciate the convenience of being able to trade within MetaMask that like that's like huge business for MetaMask, even if it's not the best prices.
Well, I'm kind of pro builder here. I think that if you can build a good UI and people come and use it and they like the convenience and it makes it easy for them to do what they want, sure, a fee for maintaining that app and creating it, I think is more than justifiable. Like if you want to go to Etherscan and build your contracts or like use an aggregator like DeFi Llama, sure, go ahead. Like nobody's going to stop you, but it is definitely a step above just, hey, I download the Uniswap wallet or I log on to Uniswap.org and fire off a trade.
I don't think we're in disagreement. I'm also agreeing. I think it's like a good thing.
Yeah. And again, this just affects like the majority of retail traders as well too. But I think it's a growing trend. This is be something we'll talk over the next year. Is that like now that Uniswap Labs has moved the Overton window on front end fees, we're probably going to be seeing a lot more of this from different companies and providers where the contracts are deployed trustlessly in almost like a liquidity style way. And then front ends are able to connect into them and set different fees depending on, whatever they believe matches their revenue models and how fast they want to grow and marketing and stuff, because it all kind of plays in, right? It's hard to maintain a front end. And unless you have prior token incentives, then you may as well just not even do it because it's expensive to run. And you also have to do like marketing and other stuff. It's tough.
And realistically, if we're talking about like a 15 basis point fee, like hopefully if you're trading millions or like formerly billions of dollars, like it might matter. If you're talking about like a retail trader that wants to buy $20 worth of Harry Potter, Sonic, whatever Inu token that's hot, like you don't care if you got 15 basis points less, right? You're just trying to like make a quick speculative play and hoping it's doing 1,000x. Like that's the market that's being targeted here.
Completely agree there. And So we're definitely going to start to see more of this. Plus, with like all the different country regulations that are coming, it's going to have to be necessary where you have like a British version of the front end or like a European one, and they can all charge different fees based on who's using the platform.
Yeah. And also, like we said, like we often say, actually, people really like, a good UX and a good, people are willing to pay for comfortable, like to be comfortable and to have things easy. People don't, like, at least not all people care about every cent they pay or something like that, if it's just convenient for them.
So I want to talk about some Curve stuff. We saw today that Napier Labs, which is building Napier. Napier. I think it's one of those tomatoes.
Napier. You don't know the Scottish mathematician?
No, who is he? Can you tell us about him?
Yeah, let's hear.
He's the inventor of logarithms.
Oh, really?
He's also like one of the like more interesting characters from history, because he kind of had like a practice of dabbling in like black magic and the occult, or at least he liked to cultivate that reputation. So he's able to use it to like fun effects. Like at one point he I'm trying to remember the exact anecdote here. Like he was convinced his servants were stealing from him, so he used his like reputation as being like this like dark wizard to basically have all of his servants go into the basement where it was dark and like touch this rooster figurine that he had, which he'd coated in soot. And he said that the rooster was magic, and by he cast a spell on it, and if they had stolen from him, then when they touched the rooster would know and would come to life and like crow. So basically, like, long story short, all the servants like went downstairs to touch the rooster. They came back upstairs. He looked it over, and he could tell who was actually stealing from him because they were too afraid to touch the rooster. The rooster being covered in soot, it meant that their hands didn't have any of the powder on it, and he knew that they were afraid to touch it, and fired them on the spot.
That's cool, man.
That's awesome. Well, crypto version of Napier. That's a great story. Crypto version of Napier has announced a pre-seed funding round that has been filled for $1 million by a whole host of Curve, Convex, and other Prism's in there as well too. Other people in the space that are connected to them, and they are going to be building what they call the end game for the Curve ecosystem. So, what is Napier Labs, Garrett?
Yeah, so if you're familiar with Pendle Finance, it's very similar to Pendle in terms of enabling yield trading. So like that, Napier is going to be taking different yield-bearing tokens and splitting them into two parts. Each of the tokens will be basically a stable part and a kind of like yield token. They plan to build the kind of trading of the stable assets on top of Curve's infrastructure, and they're building their own proprietary AMM, which is going to be handling the time-based component of trading the like yield-bearing token. Because the issue with the yield-bearing part of it is that it has to the trading essentially gets kind of like more and more complex as it approaches expiration time and date. So they are basically building a time-dependent AMM that's going to handle that portion of it. So that's one of the reasons that like the founder's like very bullish on Curve. He's super smart. Yusuke got at the Stable Summit in Paris, and like very excited to see him and like the team like going on. I'm sure they're going to be doing amazing things.
Yeah, this one just popped up in my crypto fundraising feed today. So cool to see more projects being built around Curve, and especially seeing a whole host of names coming on here. This is a lot of big hitters here. Charlie, Winthrop, C2TP, Michael, Sydney from Prisma as well too. Jinwoo Park from Hashed. So ton of people here.
Very cool. Are they going to have some kind of a monopoly on that front for now on the Curve ecosystem? Is it the first service that's going to provide something similar?
There's not a monopoly, and it's not like just explicitly built on top of like Curve tokens.
No, I don't mean to. I don't mean that. I mean, like at the moment, are they the only ones that offering this kind of service in the Curve ecosystem?
Garrett mentioned Pendle, right? So Pendle could like offer this integration, but I believe they have different like strategy goals right now. So they've been a little bit focused on Arbitrum, and they've also been expanding in other places. So I think this specifically, there's probably some integrations with CRV-USD that are going to happen here, maybe with the other assets. And I'm guessing most of the assets that they list in the first place will be curve yielding assets.
Yeah, if anyone is interested, I'd point you to September 26th, 2023 on curve.substack.com, where there's a full article discussing everything about Napier that you might need to know.
So we'll link that in the show notes for you to go check out. All right, let's talk about Aave. Aave has been restored. So the service for Aave 3 has been restored. Aave v2 is coming as well too. Aave v2 markets are now fully reactivated. Aave v3 was reactivated last Friday. So the vulnerability disclosure event is now ended. Mark Zeller reports that everything has been fixed and no user funds have been lost. Normal operations resume, and a 3-hour liquidation grace period just started for Aave ETH v2 to repay their positions. And that was this morning. So that has already passed.
Wow. So yeah, if you were asleep, you missed out, right?
I think they probably announced the restart beforehand, right? But it is enough time. I mean, they say that no funds were lost. Everything was fine. They essentially just activated their Guardian protocol, which pauses the protocol, and they I guess updated the contracts while they found this vulnerability. But it was disclosed on the forums and taken care of in a timely fashion.
Good to see Aave back.
Mm-hmm. Last week we also had a hack of Raft. Did either of you guys catch that?
I saw it, but I mean, there's a hack a day, and a lot of times I never heard of the things that get hacked. It's terrible.
So the Raft hack was special, very special.
They're all special in their own way, though.
I understand, but the Raft hack was especially special. Maybe like special ed, because the attacker stole around 1,570 ETH, which is a very sizable amount. I mean, we're talking like $6 million, $7 million in Ethereum from the Raft contracts. And during the time period, he executed a kind of complex series of steps involving a flash loan, some other things, but he swapped the minted R tokens for various cryptocurrencies that he had stolen, totaling about 1,575 ETH, about 3.65. But then that ETH was sent to the burn address, and the exploiter only managed to take away about 7.5 ETH. And at the end of the day, he actually spent about 4 ETH to get this transaction. So it's kind of mind-boggling what happened here. He mistakenly just burned his entire stash, and now there's no way to recover that ETH anymore.
That's insane, man.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
He was already able to steal the money, but then just sent it to the wrong address or something like that?
No, he sent it to the burn address. He sent it to the OX 0000000 address. Like, it's not coming back because he made a mistake in understanding the contract. There was like he made a sub call on a within the contract, and so he couldn't like send it to himself, and the only place that he could send it to was the burn address. Just unbelievable. We had so many hacks last week. There was also another guy.
Only in crypto, you have this kind of industry of people who are actually like burning money. You know what I mean? like money keeps getting stolen and sent to the wrong places, actually reducing the supply.
Yeah, if that's one way to think about it. Pretty unfortunate for the Raft guys. So Raft has filed a police report and is collaborating with law enforcement and other parties to track down the attacker. Oh man, so all the Raft contracts are temporarily paused, although users can still repay their positions and retrieve collateral. It's just the Raft R tokens are now depegged. So Raft is developing a recovery plan to compensate affected users that will come in the further days. We also had the Near Foundation, which is building out the Near protocol, announcing that they've partnered with Eigenlabs to start developing restaking for Eigenlayer. And so this is hopefully going to provide cheaper transactions for Ethereum rollups. And yeah, they say that for Eigenlayer, this collaboration will provide fast settlement for cross-rollup transactions and showcases adoption of restaking across the Ethereum ecosystem and beyond. For Near, the collaboration will also extend to transitioning the Near Ethereum Rainbow Bridge to an actively validated service. This will create a better bridge experience between Near and Ethereum. Transactions will reach finality faster with stronger security guarantees and decentralization, Near Foundation said.
When is this happening?
I mean, this just happened. It came out today.
Hmm.
The announcement.
Do you guys use Near or something like that?
Yeah. I think Near's interesting. They've got some good builders over there and a good team.
Nice. Never used it, to be honest.
Well, maybe you should. It's kind of nice. All right. What else do we have here? We also had a. Just taking a look at this. Did we talk about Butter Finance? I know they kind of popped up like a week or two ago. They said they're going to build a VECRV system for Cake on Binance Smart Chain for PancakeSwap. They had a whole hubbub. Everybody was pretty excited about it, and now they have canceled their launch.
What? Why?
Well, I think Binance PancakeSwap probably came to them and was like, "Hey, we don't need a VECRV layer on top."
Really? Why would they?
I don't know.
They don't want the competition, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, really, there was no information that was provided.
Wow,
Yeah.
it's a bit suspicious.
I know, kind of crazy, right?
Yeah. And did they do any raise during that time or something like that?
No, they said they were just going to launch. It was just going to be like, hey,
Yeah,
here's our.
just got a lot of attention.
Yeah, they got a ton of attention, and then they canceled it.
Man, that's weird.
Yeah. So pretty. Just what a weekend! It was actually kind of quiet weekend. I hope you guys touch grass.
I did actually.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
Well, that's all the news I got for today. Do you guys have anything else that you thought was newsworthy to talk about?
Just make sure to join our stream tomorrow. We got the someone joining us from Prisma, so it should be a good one.
Fun.
Oh yeah, cool.
That's
Who's
great.
joining? Richard?
Come again?
Who's joining? Richard?
Let me check and see if it's finalized. I know someone, but I don't know if we confirmed exactly who from the team.
Prisma is really getting a lot of respect, like for ever since I've heard about it. You're involved there in a way, Garrett, no?
I'm like a super small investor in it, so
yeah.
Oh, hey, let's talk about one of our other projects that we've been supportive of. FXN has been blowing up. Congratulations to everyone who's been hanging out with us, learning about FX protocol. We don't usually show charts here, but it's really doing well. And they've been gaining a lot of TVL. So if you haven't already, please go check out FX protocol. There was a really nice curve risk
We
team.
still don't show his charts, it looks like.
What's the curve risk guys called?
Which one?
Oh, Llama Risk. So Llama Risk put out a very in-depth posting about FX protocol the other day. I thought it was really nice.
Last week it was?
Yeah, they put it out last week. Yeah. So they did their usual in-depth assessment of XETH and FETH. It's on their Substack at cryptorisk.substack.com. You can pull it up, and it gives a very nice in-depth discussion of what XETH and FETH are, links to everything, and how it's going to fit into the Curve ecosystem.
Yeah, FX protocol is really getting a lot of attention, and it's actually bringing a lot of attention to Aladdin DAO, I think. As you know, I'm a community booster over there on the programs, and also a part of the A team, which is kind of like their version, our version actually, in Aladdin DAO for a media outlet, similar to what you guys do for Frax with Flywheel. And I really think that honestly, it's creating a lot more buzz and hype around Aladdin, and it's creating new connections with all kind of projects. It really it's fun to see the good work of the Aladdin folks starting to pay off. To pay off, I mean, and hopefully a bright future for FX Protocol as well.
Fully agree. Well, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube. We have new content there every day. And also our Telegram and Twitter as well, too, where we post a bunch of headlines. And also, if you want to listen to us while you're doing the dishes or working out, I don't know, maybe going for a drive, we're also on Spotify.
We're all three. Why not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Apple Podcasts. So come check us out and make sure to subscribe. We will be back tomorrow with more news and hopefully no more hacks.
Amen. A hackless day. Wow, it's going to be something great.
Exactly. I talked with the Prisma guys about how Prisma's doing, which is just blowing up.
Cool.
So, cool. See you guys tomorrow.
Bye, folks.